All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the world of crypto.
Specifically, Bitcoin and altcoins.
Yeah, exactly. We've got this really fascinating article from Bitcoin World.
Pretty bold predictions.
Yeah, about where the market's headed and kind of what the future holds.
Your investments, yeah.
Yeah, for our investments, exactly. So I
Yeah.
thought it would be cool to kind of break it down together. See what they're saying, what their reasoning is, and
And most importantly, what it means for you.
yeah, what it actually means for someone like me, who's trying to make sense of all this. So one of the first things that jumped out at me was this whole idea of a late stage bull market. I mean, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it can be a little jargony. But basically, a bull market is just when prices are trending upwards, right?
Right.
People are feeling optimistic. There's this kind of infectious energy pulling more and more investors in.
Right.
And late stage just means we're probably closer to the peak of that upward trend than we are to the beginning.
Okay, so that makes sense. But what I found really interesting was this whole thing about trading volume.
Right.
And how it's actually surprisingly low right now for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Only about 36% of the total supply has been traded recently.
Mm.
I have to admit, that kind of threw me off. I always thought high trading volume was a good thing.
Yeah.
A sign of lots of activity and interest.
It can be. It definitely can be.
Right.
High trading volume can definitely indicate strong interest. But in this case, the fact that it's relatively low
Yeah.
could actually be a sign of even more growth potential.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought the opposite.
It's kind of counterintuitive, right? So if we think about the concept of supply and demand, with Bitcoin, the supply is limited, right? It's capped.
Right.
So when you have a limited supply and a growing demand,
Yeah.
that's what creates that upward pressure on prices.
Oh.
And so what's fascinating here is that if the trading volume were already super high,
Uh-huh.
it might suggest that most of the available Bitcoin is already kind of changing hands.
Right.
And that would leave less room for prices to, increase further.
So what you're saying is this relatively calm period
Right.
with the lower trading volume
Yeah.
could actually be
The calm before the
the calm before the storm. Yeah. There's all this pent up demand just waiting to
They're exploding.
explode into the market.
Exactly. And this is where market psychology comes into play, right?
Yeah.
Because think about it, as prices start to rise, more people get FOMO.
Right.
The fear of missing out.
Yeah.
They see their friends making money, their neighbors making money.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I got to get in on this. And that creates a sort of snowball effect,
Yeah.
driving even more demand and pushing prices even higher.
So this whole low trading volume thing
Yeah.
is actually a bullish signal.
It's one of the things that's pointing in that direction.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to remember that
Yeah.
nobody has a crystal ball, right?
Right.
But understanding these patterns, understanding these indicators, it can help us make more informed decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's definitely something to pay attention to.
Okay, so all this talk about late stage bull market and low trading volume,
Yeah.
it's all building up to something, right?
Right.
This article actually puts a time frame on it,
Yeah.
and it's sooner than you might think.
It is.
A lot sooner.
The analyst predicts that this bull market could peak as early as the first or second quarter of 2025.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
just a few months away.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
That is wild. If that's even remotely accurate, things could get
Pretty crazy.
pretty crazy in the crypto market pretty soon.
Yeah. Buckle up.
Buckle up. That's what makes this so fascinating, right? We could be on the verge of this major shift.
A turning point.
Yeah, a turning point. And understanding, what a peak actually looks like can help us prepare for that ride.
Absolutely.
Speaking of getting ready for the ride,
Yeah.
what does a peak actually look like?
Right.
And how does that affect someone like me with a crypto portfolio? Should I be buying more Bitcoin,
No.
selling what I have, or just sitting tight and watching it all unfold?
Those are all good questions.
Yeah.
As we approach a peak, things definitely tend to get a lot more intense.
Right.
Think of it as the climax of the market cycle, right?
Okay.
We can expect to see increased volatility, which means prices might swing wildly up and down,
Oh, wow.
So there's potential for massive gains, but also an increased risk of, those sore drops,
So it's not just about the potential gains. It's also about
managing the risks.
managing the risks. Yeah.
Right,
Okay. And that's where, having a clear strategy becomes super crucial.
Absolutely.
But before we dive into all that, let's address the elephant in the room, right?
Right.
Bitcoin versus altcoin.
The big debate.
The big debate. Who's gonna come out on top in this potential final push?
Who's going to win?
All right, so we've got this potential market peak coming up, maybe even in the next few months. Things could get wild, and there's this big question, Bitcoin versus altcoins. Who's gonna perform better during this final push?
I got to admit, I'm always rooting for the underdog, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of hoping the altcoins take the lead.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic to watch unfold for sure. The article seems to suggest that Bitcoin, being kind of the OG cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
often takes the lead in these final phases. Like, it sets the overall market trend.
Right.
It's got that brand recognition, that established dominance.
So Bitcoin is like the captain leading the ship.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
But what about the rest of the crew? The altcoins. I thought altcoins were supposed to be like the exciting ones.
The ones with the potential for those, like massive life-changing gains, right?
They absolutely can be. It's important to distinguish between, dominance and return on investment.
Okay.
Bitcoin might be the leader in terms of like market cap influence, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have the highest percentage gains.
Right.
Altcoins, especially those with smaller market caps,
Yeah.
they have more room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it like investing in a small startup versus a well-established company. The startup has, much greater potential for exponential growth.
Okay. So, can you give me a real-world example? I'm a numbers person. Paint me a picture with some, hypothetical figures.
Sure. Let's say, hypothetically, Bitcoin goes up 50% during this peak.
Yeah.
That's a significant return,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But some altcoins, especially those with, innovative technology or a strong community behind them, could potentially see gains of 100%, 200%, even more.
Wow.
Their smaller market cap just allows for more explosive price movements.
So even if Bitcoin leads the charge, altcoins could still outperform in terms of percentage gains.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where things get really interesting, I think, for someone like me, or anyone listening who's trying to figure out their crypto strategy. Should I be going all in on Bitcoin, diversifying across a bunch of altcoins, or maybe finding some kind of balance between the two?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And there's no one-size-fits-all answer, right?
Yeah.
It all comes down to, your individual investment goals, your risk tolerance, and how much research you're willing to do. Diversification is always a good strategy to at least consider, especially in a volatile market like crypto.
Right.
By spreading your investments across different coins, different projects, you're essentially mitigating your risk.
Yeah.
If one investment takes a hit, your entire portfolio isn't wiped out.
That makes sense. So it's not just about picking the right coin, it's about
Building a portfolio.
building a portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah.
That reflects your risk appetite and investment goals.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. In a bull market where prices are going up,
Yeah.
it's tempting to just throw caution to the wind
Absolutely.
and chase those gains.
Oh yeah, FOMO is real.
Yeah,
It's hard to resist.
But that's why it's important to have a plan and stick to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Have
Yeah.
a plan and stick to it. That's rule number one, I would say.
This analyst in the article
Yeah.
offers some wise advice, I think, for navigating this potentially wild ride.
Right.
Diversification, stop losses, and taking profits gradually.
Yeah, those are all good strategies.
Those are all great strategies in theory, but I think it would be helpful to kind of break them down.
यानी तकरीबन 70 से 75 लाख रुपए सर ने यहाँ पे नॉन वर्किंग का कमाया ओनली 7 महीने के अंदर। और अगर पर डे सर कितना कमा रहे हैं या फिर रोज इनको नॉन वर्किंग का कितना आ रहा है, तो दोस्तों वो भी बताना चाहूंगा। देखिए यहाँ पे कुछ डेट्स दी गई हैं, तो यहाँ पे हम देखते हैं 26 तारीख, 27 तारीख, 28 तारीख, 29 तारीख, 30 तारीख और 1 तारीख। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पे 26 तारीख को सर को $1429 यानी कम से कम 1,30,000 से समथिंग यहाँ पे सर को इनकम प्राप्त हुई। और 27 तारीख को थोड़ा सा बढ़ के 1,33,000 के समथिंग। और फिर 28 तारीख को यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो
stable coins in there to kind of manage volatility.
Okay.
The idea is to create a balanced portfolio that isn't overly reliant on the performance of any single asset.
So you're essentially kind of spreading your bets
Exactly.
across different sectors of the crypto market.
Exactly. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Makes sense. What about stop losses? I've heard that term thrown around a lot, but I'm not entirely sure how they work in practice.
Yeah, so stop losses are a risk management tool
Okay.
that can be really, really valuable in a volatile market like crypto.
Mhm.
It's essentially an order that you place with your exchange
Okay.
to automatically sell a coin
Mm-hmm.
if its price drops below a certain level.
So it's like setting a safety net
Exactly.
for your investments. Like, if this coin falls below this price, I'm out no matter what.
Yeah, you said it and forget it.
It takes the emotion out of trading,
Yes.
which can be tough, I think, when you're feeling the pressure of, a volatile market.
Yeah, when you're in the heat of the moment, it's easy to make emotional decisions.
Yeah.
A stop loss can help you, stick to your plan.
Okay, I like that. And then the final piece of advice from the analyst is taking profits gradually. This one can be tricky, especially when everything seems to be going up, right?
It is.
It's so tempting to just like ride that wave.
Ride the wave,
And watch your portfolio grow, but I guess there's a risk of getting greedy
There is.
and losing those gains if the market suddenly turns, right?
Yeah. You don't want to be left holding the bag when the music stops.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
So taking profits gradually just means, selling off portions of your holdings as prices rise. This allows you to lock in some of those gains, reduce your overall risk.
It's like taking some chips off the table while you're on a winning streak at the casino, right?
Yeah.
You get to enjoy some of your winnings, but you're still in the game.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
So diversification, stop losses, taking profits gradually, these are all tools we can use to manage risk, protect our investments, especially as we head towards this potential market peak.
Yeah.
It's about being smart, not just getting caught up in the hype.
Right. And remember, no one can predict the future with 100% certainty.
Of course not.
These market cycles, they're based on historical patterns, current trends.
Yeah.
But there are always unforeseen factors that can, influence the market.
Absolutely. Always.
So we should, take these predictions with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But also be prepared for some potentially big moves in the coming months.
For sure. Be prepared for anything.
All right, listener, are you ready for the next part of our deep dive? We've covered a lot of ground so far. The concept of like a late stage bull market, right? Significance of low trading volume, the potential for both, Bitcoin and altcoins to see significant gains.
Right.
And some essential strategies for navigating this, exciting but unpredictable market.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild ride.
It is. But what does all of this actually mean for someone like you who's, invested in crypto?
Right. That's the key question, isn't it? And it's not just about trying to like time the market perfectly or, make a quick buck. Understanding these cycles, it helps us think about crypto as a long-term investment, not just a speculative gamble.
Yeah. So we've talked about, riding these waves of market cycles, but it sounds like there's a kind of a bigger picture here, something beyond just chasing those short-term gains.
Yeah.
It's about seeing crypto as a long-term gain.
Exactly. Recognizing that there will be ups and downs, periods of incredible growth and then periods of correction.
Right.
The real challenge and the real opportunity is to stay informed, stay disciplined, and build a strategy that aligns with your long-term financial goals.
I'm starting to see the wisdom in that. It's not just about buy low, sell high.
Right.
It's about understanding those forces at play.
Yeah.
And making smart decisions based on, knowledge, not just hype.
It's about having a plan.
Yeah.
And thinking long-term.
Think about it this way. If you're constantly reacting to every market fluctuation,
Right.
you're likely to make, these impulsive decisions.
Emotional decisions.
Yeah, that might not serve your long-term interests.
Exactly.
But if you have a solid understanding of these market cycles,
Yeah.
you can approach those fluctuations with more composure.
Right.
And make decisions that align with your overall strategy.
It's all about taking the emotion out of it.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I think a lot of people, myself included, are still drawn to that excitement of potential short-term gains, right?
Yeah.
How do you balance that with the long-term perspective?
It's a good question. It's about finding that sweet spot
Okay.
between seizing opportunities and managing risk.
Right.
You can still participate in those exciting short-term plays, but do so with a clear understanding of the potential downsides.
Yeah.
Maybe you allocate a portion of your portfolio
Right.
for those higher risk, higher reward investments,
Right.
while keeping the majority in more stable long-term holdings.
That's a really helpful way to think about it. It's like having like a fun money account
Right.
for those like exciting but risky bets.
Yeah.
And then a separate account for like the investments you're really counting on for the long haul.
Absolutely. You got your play money, and then you got your your serious money.
Exactly.
And as you become more familiar with market cycles, you can start to identify those moments where it might make sense to shift some funds between those accounts.
Okay.
For example, during a market dip, you might see an opportunity to move some funds from your safe account to your fund money account
Right.
to buy some promising assets at a discount.
So it's about being like strategic and